Okay, madam, start.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, all of you. So, today's topic, theory of demographic transition. So, already we know that the population theories. So, if we go to the theory of demographic transition, it was first propounded by W.S. Thompson and W. Neuston. So, if we go to this theory, it explains the effect of changes in birth and death rates on growth of the population. That means how the effects of birth and death rates on growth of population we can know with the theory of demographic transition theory. So, this was mainly propounded by the professors W.S. Thompson and W.S. Neuston. So if we go to that, according to D.E. Dalton, this demographic transition refers to a population cycle that begins with a fall in death rate and continues with a phase of rapid population growth and concludes with a decline in the birth rate. So if we go to this demographic transition theory according to E.G. Dalton, we can find three stages. That means, so this cycle starts with a fall in death rates first, and it continues with a phase of rapid population growth, and it concludes with the decline in the birth rate. That means we can find that the population increases in a cycle way. In the first time, we can find the fall in death rates first, and next it continues with a high population growth, and it concludes with a decline in birth rate also. So according to this theory, we can find that how the birth and death rates affects the population explosion. This theory explains. So the demographic transition theory explains the birth and death rates, how it influence the population explosion in the economy according to the demographic transition theory. So if we go to this theory, every economy has passed to three stages: the first stage, second stage, and third stage. So if we go to the first stage, according to this theory, there are three stages. In the first stage, both birth and death rates are very high. So we can find that in the initial stage of an economy, if it is an agrarian economy, the birth and death rates are at higher level. So high birth rate is equally matched with the high death rate, which may leads to population more or less remaining stable. That means we cannot find increase in case of population because of high birth and high death rates in the first stage of an economy. That means if we go to that, if initial state, when the economy is backward, the birth rates and death rates are higher. So if we go to that, the death rates are higher in the initial stage of the economies because of due to poverty conditions, due to primitive sanitation conditions, due to the absence of effective medical aid facilities. Next, we can also find that the standard of living of people also very lower level. So because of all this, the death rates was higher in the first stage. Next, we can also find the birth rate is also higher in the primitive stage of the economies, development stage of the economies. Suppose, for example, if birth rates are higher due to the people given priority to the customs and traditions. So due to their attitude towards the family, and they treated children as one of the source to earn income. So because of that, and they given priority to religious and social customs. So due to all this, due to illiteracy, the birth rate was high. So in the first stage of demographic transition, we can find in the development of primitive stages, both birth rate and death rates are higher level. This is the first stage. So next, if we go to Indian economy, we can find this stage before 1921. Next, if we go to the second stage, it is characterized by the rapid growth of population. We can find high growth of population in the second stage of demographic transition theory. So if we go to that, when development taken place in the economies, automatically the mortality rate was declined, and we cannot find the decline in case of birth rates. So due to reduction in case of mortality rate or death rates, and no corresponding decline in case of birth rate, which may leads to rapid growth of population in the second stage of demographic transition. Suppose, for example, if we take in Indian economy, we can find this stage, demographic transition, second stage, which may leads to population explosion between 1951 to 1991 in Indian economy. So we can find, if suppose, for example, if we take Indian economy, when development takes place, automatically the death rate was declined due to provision of health and sanitation facilities to the people and providing better medical facilities and providing good diet to the people. So all this leads to decline the death rate, but we cannot find reduction in case of birth rates. So due to that, that means in the second stage of this demographic transition, so still the economies are in agrarian conditions only. So they are unable to control their birth due to illiteracy and not providing all the facilities to the people. So because of that, they are unable to control the birth rates. So in the second stage of demographic transition, we can find high decline in death rate and we cannot find corresponding decline in case of birth rates, which may leads to population explosion. So we can find this stage in Indian economy between 1951 to 1991. So the population was very high due to high birth rate in the economy and declining death rates. This stage we can find. Next, the third stage. Next stage is the third stage. So in the third stage, we can find low growth rate of population due to the low birth rate and low death rates. That means when the development taken place, so automatically the government provide better medical and aid facilities to the people. Next to the development taken place due to urbanization. Next to due to increasing the population in towns and cities, etc., education facilities increases. So due to all this, automatically the standard of the people also increases and the attitude towards the family size also change. Next, when women are educated and employed, automatically bringing up the children is also become a challenge to them. So because of all this, and they want to maintain certain standard to their family member. So because of all these reasons, they try to control the birth rate also. So due to all these reasons, in the third stage of demographic transition, when the economies are in a developed stage, automatically the population declines. So we can find low growth rate of population due to low birth rate and low death rates in this stage of demographic transition theory. So we can find low birth and low death rates in the third stage. So every country has to pass through these three stages. That means the first stage where the high birth and high death rates we cannot find. We can find the population remains almost all stable, and in the second stage where the population explosion is there due to high birth rates and less death rates, and in the third stage almost the growth rate of population is less due to low birth and low death rates in the third stage. So this can also explain with the help of diagram. So the stages of demographic transition can explain with the help of the below diagram. So on the OX axis, we can take the time, and Y axis, we measure the birth and death rates in a certain period of time. So from the first stage, that means O to T, in the first stage, both birth and death rates are higher. So we can find stable population between the first stage, between O to T. Next, between the T and T1, where there is a second stage, we can find that the birth rate almost all remaining constant and the death rates declines in a rapid way. So high declines in death rates and birth rates remain almost all stagnant. In the second stage, we can find the population explosion. Next, if we go to the third stage, that means beyond T1, we can find the third stage. Both birth and death rates are declined. So the birth rate declines in rapid way and death rates also decline. So we can find high birth and death rates decline in case of third stage, which may leads to almost all population remaining constant or increasing at low rate. So these are the three stages in demographic transition theory. So according to According to these economists, we can find every economy has passes to these three stages. In the first stage, we can find the population almost are stagnant due to high birth and high death rates. In the second stage, we can find high population explosion due to decline in death rates and higher birth rates. And in the third stage, we can find both birth and death rates are lower, which may leads to slow growth rate in population or stagnant growth in case of population. So these are the three stages in demographic transition theory. So next, if we go to the demographic features of Indian population. So the next one, demographic features of Indian population. So if before going to Indian population demographic features, we can know about the world population. Suppose, for example, if we go to the total population, world population, it was 1 billion in 1830, and next the world population increased to 2 billion in 1930. That means it takes 100 years when the population increased from 1 billion to 2 billion people. Next, in 1960, it leads to 3 billions, and 1975 it leads 4 billions, and the population reaches to 5 billions in 1987. That means the child of 5th billion was born on 11th July 1987 in Yugoslavia. So 11th July, which is known as World Population Day. So in that day, on that day, the 5th billion child was born. So it treated as World Population Day on 11th July every year. Next, the world population reached to 780 crores by the end of March 2020. So this is about the world population. So world population, it was only 1 billion in 1830, and it reached to 2 billions in 1930. That means it takes 100 of years. Next, it reached to 3 billions in 1960. From 1930 to 1960, within the 30 years, the population increases 1 billion in the worldwide. Next, it takes only 15 times to increase the population from 3 billions to 4 billions, and it reached to 5 billions within the 12 years, that is from 1975 to 1987. So around it may reach to 780 crores by the end of March 2020. So this is about the world population particulars. Next, if we go to Indian economy. So we know that India possessing nearly 2.4% of the total land area of the world. And next, it possesses 17.6% of the world population. So India is treated as second largest country in terms of population. So it nearly, that means in the total area, only 2.4% possessing, but in total population, 17.6% occupied by the Indian economy. So next, in GDP, we contribute only 7.3% in world GDP. So this is about the India's population. That means in the worldwide, we occupied only 2.4% in case of land and land area, and 17.6% of total population, and we contribute only 7.3% of world GDP. Next, if we go to the Indian economy, demographic features in the size and growth of population in Indian economy. So if we go to size and population of Indian economy, according to 1901 census, we can find that Indian population was 236 millions. So 236 millions, and it reached to 1,210 millions by the end of 2011. So the Indian population increased from 236 millions to 1,210 millions by the end of 2011. So if we go to this table, the growth of, we can know the growth of population in Indian economy. So in 1891, it was only 236 millions, and in 901, we can also find 236 millions only. In 1921, the population increases up to 251 millions. That means within 3 decades, that means within the 30 years, the population increased from 236 millions to 251. That means the growth our increase in population was only 15 millions with the within the period 3 decades. So the growth rate was 0.19% from 1891 to 1921. This is the first phase. Next, if we go to second phase, in case of growth of population in Indian economy between 1921 to 1951, we can find that the population increased from 251 millions to 361 millions. That means within the 30 years, the population increased 110 millions. That means from 251 to 361 millions. That means the growth rate in population was 110 millions between 1921 to 1951. So the growth rate of population was 1.22%. Growth rate was 1.22% between 1921 to 1951. So we can say that India entered into second phase of demographic transition theory, and between 1921 to 51 we entered just. Next, if we go to the third phase in case of Indian population growth between 1951 to 1981. So in the third phase, the population increased from 361 millions to 683 millions. 361 millions to 683 millions. So that means we can find that the growth rate in case of population was 2.14%. The total population increased from 1951 to 1981 was 322 millions. So we can find 2.14%. We can say that population explosion in case of Indian economy between 1951 to 81. 1951 to 1881, we can find that high growth of population, it increases at the rate of 2.4% per annum due to high birth rate and low death rates in case of Indian economy between 1951 to 1981, because the steps were taken for the development of economy with the help of 5-year plans. So due to development of these 5-year plans, the development taken place. So the food provided to the people was nutrition food provided, medical facilities, sanitation, health conditions improved, and education facilities improved. So due to all this, the death rate may be declined, and due to high birth rate, it leads to high explosion of population between 1951 to 1981. So within these 3 decades, the population increases 322 millions at the rate of 2.14%. Next, if we go to after that fourth phase, that means 1981 to 2011, the population increased from 683 millions to 1210 millions. That means 527 millions increase between 1981 to 2011 at the rate of 1.64%. So the growth rate between 2001 to 2011, in case of population, it was 1.64%. That means the population increases, that means 77%, we can find 77% of increase in case of population in the fourth phase of Indian economy between 1981 to 2011. So this is about the growth of population in Indian economy. So next, if we go to the birth and death rates in Indian economy. So that means the growth of population mainly depends on birth and death rates in the economy. So due to birth and death rates, it leads to development of economy. And next, we can also find the population explosion in the economy also. So how the birth and death rates are there in Indian economy between decades. So for example, if we go to between 1891 to 19, the birth per thousand population, birth rate per thousand people, it was 45.8, but death rate was 44.4. That means per every 1,000 births in the world, in Indian economy, 45.8 births we can find, and death 44.4%, 4 per 1,000. Next, if we go to between 1901 to 1921, we can find that the birth rate declined from increased from 46 to 49 nearly. So from 1901 to 1921, we can find that it increased from 46 to 49 per thousand, and death rate it increases from 44 to 49. So we can find the growth rate both in case of birth and death in the first decade, that means 1901 to 1921. So we can find high birth and high death rates, almost all population remaining stagnant in the first phase. Next, if we go to the second phase, that means 1911 to 1920, we can find that 1911 to 1920, the birth rate was 49.2 and death rate was 48.6. And in the year 2010 to 2011, birth rate declined only to 21.8. That means from 49.2 per thousand to 21.8 only the birth rate declines. But in case of death rate, it declined from 48.6 per thousand to 7.1 only. That means we can find high decrease in case of death rates, and we cannot find the simultaneous decrease in case of birth rate, which may lead to population explosion in Indian economy. So we can say that in Indian economy, the high birth rate we can find mainly due to high population explosion. So high birth rate and high death rates. The birth rate was highly and death rates declines in a high manner, which may leads to population explosion in the economies. Suppose, for example, if we go to Indian economy, we can find faster decline death rates, mainly Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, Karnataka, Maharashtra, and Punjab. So these achieved the birth rate below the 20 per thousand. Next, if we go to, that means if we go to these states, we can find third stage in case of demographic transition in these states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, Karnataka, Maharashtra, and Punjab. Next, if we go to Haryana and Gujarat, it occupies high place in case of per capita income, but it has behind in reduction in the birth rate only. Next, if we go to Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, they have very high birth rates. So it is not easy to bring down the birth rates in these states. So because of that, we can find second stage of demographic transition in these states like Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, etc. So totally we can find when we are control the family members, control the family size and decreasing the birth rate, then only it can possible to reduce the population explosion and control the population explosion in the economy. So this is about the birth and death rates. So next, if we go to sex ratio in Indian economy. So sex ratio means it is the number of females for 1000 males. So the number of females for 1000 males, which is called as sex ratio. So if we go to the Indian economy, the sex ratio, it declined from 972 in 1901 and it declined to 940 in the year 2011. That means the sex ratio, the availability of female for 1000 male, it declined from 972 to 940 between 901 to 2011 years. Suppose, for example, if we go to 972 in the year 901 and 946 in 1951 and it was 927 in 1991. Next, we can find that there is a marginal improvement in case of sex ratio. So we can find in case of Kerala, the sex ratio was higher. That means it was 1084 female for 1000 males in Indian economy in 2011. In economy level in India, it was only 940, but in case of Kerala, it was 1084 females for 1000 males. Next, if we go to Punjab, Haryana, the female account only for 893 and 877. So the female rate was, availability of female was less in case of Punjab and Haryana states. So if we go to that, whenever the sex ratio increases, automatically we can find mainly growth rate in the economy. That means it can possible to remove the poverty. And next, whenever we remove the high infant mortality rate in the economy, and next high mortality rate among the women when in reproductive age, then only it can possible to increase the sex ratio. So the sex ratio was declined from 972 to 940 between 901 to 2011 Indian economy. So this is about the sex ratio. Next one, age composition. So the age composition also play a very important role in development of the economy. So in the total population, the productive age group people are higher, automatically it leads to development of the economy. So if we go to the population, it may divide it into three age groups. That means 0 to 14, which is called as childhood. And next, second productive age group between 15 to 60 years. And next, 60 and above, they treated as oldish people. So if we go to these three groups of peoples, 0 to 14 and above 60 age groups are treated as unproductive. They may not contribute to the production. They depending on productive age group only. So if go to this percentage of distribution of Indian population by age group in the year 1911, between 0 to 14 age group population was 38.8%, and the productive age group, that means 15 to 60 years, between 15 to 60 years was 60.2%, and above 6 it was only 1. So due to high death rates, we can find above 60 years age group contribute only 1%, and it increased to 6.3% in the year 2001. But in case of children between 0 to 14 also decreased to 35.6, and the contribution of age group in productive stage it remaining 58.2%. So that means the development of the economy and the productive capacity of the economy mainly depending on the productive age group. The composition of this age group in the total population is high, then it contribute to the productive capacity of the economy. So in Indian economy, in the year 2001, 58.2% of population contributed to the productive productivity of the economy and matter. So this is about the percentage of distribution of India's population age group. So this is regarding the demographic features of Indian population. So in demographic features, we know about the world population. After that, India's population. After that, birth and death rates in Indian economy. Next, we learn about the sex ratio in Indian economy. After that, the percentage of different age groups in the total population of Indian economy. So this is regarding the demographic features of Indian population. So next, we go to the concept and causes of population explosion. Concept and causes of population explosion. Already we know that. So in Indian economy, the population was very high. So if we go to the concept of population explosion, this concept was introduced by Robert Malthus. Malthus was famous regarding the systematic principle in case of population estimates. So he give first priority to the population uh, counting. So if we go to that principle of population in his famous book, an essay on the principle of population in 1798. So Malthus theory explains the relationship between the food supply and its population. So according to this, according to the Malthus, there is relationship between the population growth and the food supply of the economy. So he states that population increases in a geometrical process, and if it is not checked, automatically it may be doubled within 25 years. According to him, population increases in a geometrical way. So if we are unable to check this, automatically the population may be declined. Sorry, the population may be doubled within 25 years. Next, in the other hand, the supply of food grains increases in a arithmetical progression. So the food supply increases in arithmetical progression and the population increases in geometrical progression. So if we are unable to control this population, automatically it leads to scarcity of food and other problems in the economy, and it also leads to food problem, poverty, unemployment, and inequality problems in the economy, according to the Malthus. So if we go to Indian economy, we can find the second stage in demographic transition. So according to this, we have to control the birth rate. Otherwise, it is not possible to control the problems of food scarcity and poverty, unemployment, etc. Next one, the causes of population explosion. So if we go to the causes of population explosion, it may be divided into mainly three categories. So the first one, causes of decline in the death rate and causes of high birth rate, and third one, due to immigration. So the immigration, it play very little role in the growth of population, but the decline in death rates and high birth rate which may leads to population explosion in the economy. So first we go to the causes for decline in the death rate in case of increase in population growth. So the causes of decline in the death rate. First one, elimination of famines. So we can find that reoccurrence of famines in Indian economy in the British period we can find. But after independence, the government has taken number of steps to control the famines. So automatically, it may possible to control the death rates. Because of that, it leads to increase in growth of population. So elimination of famines, which may lead to decline in case of death rates. It is the one of the cause to increase population explosion in the economy. So the number of steps were taken by the government with the help of 5-year plans. So due to that steps, due to that improvement conditions, this famines was eradicated by the government, which may lead to decline in case of death rate. And second one, control of epidemics. So if we go to the second one, control of epidemics means cholera, smallpox, malaria. So next, so all these are we can find in before independence, but we cannot find these epidemics nowadays because the government has provided the better medical facilities. So it declined TB. Next, it also try to control the epidemics like cholera, smallpox, malaria, etc. So all these causes leads to decline in case of death rates. It is the one. Next, third point, other factors. So other factors like provision and supply of drinking water. Next, providing sanitation facilities and providing hygienic conditions. Next, spread of education and expanded the medical facilities. And next, immunization and poverty eradication programs which were adopted by the government to improve the standard of living of the people. So all these decrease the mortality rate in the economy, which may leads to population decline in case of death rates. So due to elimination of famines and control of epidemics by the government, and due to provision of medical facilities, education, and the implement of poverty eradication programs by the government to improve the standard of living and providing hygienic conditions and sanitation. Next, to providing drinking water supply, etc. So all this leads to decreasing death rates in the economy. So next, second cause, causes of high birth rates. So if we go to causes of high birth rates, hello? Causes of high birth rates, economic factors. The first one, in economic factors, predominance of agriculture, urbanization, and poverty. So, Priya, అయిపోయిందా class? ఉందా? Okay. So, causes of high birth rate. So, causes of high birth rate, that means high birth rate leads to population explosion in the economies. So, if we go to high birth rate arises due to economic factors and non-economic factors. So, the economic factors, the first one is the predominance of agriculture sector. Suppose, for example, if we go to Indian economy, agriculture play very important role. Due to that, it leads to it it leads to high birth rate in the economy. So the predominance of agriculture sector, that means most of the Indian economy depending on agriculture. So due to underdevelopment of other sector, they are unable to provide employment opportunities to the increasing population. So automatically the increasing population depending on agriculture only. So the population depending on agriculture increases at rapid rate, and they used only primitive methods. And next, the productivity in agriculture sector is very less, and more than required people are depending on agriculture. So because of all these conditions, we can find in the agriculture sector, the development is less. So most of the people depending on agriculture was illiterate and ignorant people. They are unable to control the birth, and they treated people as a earning one. That means they use them as a labor in agricultural land. So because of that, they are unable to control the birth rate, which may leads to increase in population explosion. So the birth rate was high in agriculture, depending on agriculture sector. So due to dependence of agriculture sector, it leads to high birth rate. People are unable to control the birth. Next, the second one, urbanization. So we can find staggering in case of industrialization, and next the process of urbanization is very slow in Indian economy, which may leads to generate the reducing birth rate. So whenever the development taken place and industrialization and urbanization develops, automatically it may leads to decline in case of birth rates. But in case of Indian economy, the urbanization and industrialization process was very slow, which may leads to unable to control the birth rates, which may leads to population explosion. Next, third one, poverty. So poverty is also one of the important cause which remains the birth rate at higher level. So if we go to the poverty, the family member, the level of income was very less in case of low in case of poverty conditions. So because of that, mainly the poor people treated children as earning members. So due to that, they try to increase their family size to earn more income. Because of that reason, due to the poverty and unable to provide better facilities to them, and next to due to the poor sanitation conditions and hygienic condition and malnutrition, the death rate was also, they treated death rate was also high. So they try to earn more income by increasing the family size. So because of that, they are unable to control the birth rate, which may leads to population explosion in the economy. So next, the fourth one, next one, social factors. So if we go to social factors, universality of marriage and lower age at the time of marriage, religious and social superstitions, and joint family system, lack of education, and use of contraceptive methods. So the first one in social factors, mainly universality of marriage. That means marriage is both religious and social necessary in case of Indians. So because of this necessity, people try to get marriage at the early stages. So because of that, it may leads to increasing the growth of population. So universality of marriage, and next, they are all try to get the marriage because if it is a social and next religious necessity. So because of the social and religious necessity concept, automatically everyone try to get marriage whether they settled or not. So due to that, it may leads to, that means the attitude of the people towards the marriage uh, change, then only it can possible to control the birth rate in the economy. So when they feel that it is a necessity, automatically the population increases in rapid manner. So the universality of marriage concept in case of Indians, it may increase this population in the economy. Next, second one, lower age at the time of marriage. So we can find that lower age at the time of marriage, it is responsible for increasing the fertility in case of Indian population. So mainly when the marriage is less, automatically the fertility period was high. So because of that, it may possible to increase the birth rate in the economy due to lower age of marriage. So suppose for example, if we go to Indian economy, it was 18.3 years in case of female and 22.6 years in case of male in 2000 in Indian economy. So when the age of marriage is at the lower level, automatically the fertility rate was increases. Automatically, it increases the birth rate in the economy. So, whenever we whenever we increase the age of marriage, automatically it can possible to reduce the birth rate in the economy. So, due to
Class
lower time of marriage, population explosion. Next, third one, religious and social superstitions. Suppose if we go to Indian economy, so mainly people give priority to cultivate the social and religious superstitions. So they give priority to celebrate the social ceremonies and religious customs they follow. So due to that, they are unable to control the birth rate in the economy. So the religious and superstitions also one of the cause to increasing population. And next one, joint family system, also one of the cause. We can find joint family system most of the Indian economy. So mainly in rural areas, in agrarian areas, we can find joint family system. So automatically, the burden of the family may be on the eldest one. So automatically, it may give priority
Madam,
to
conclude, madam. Conclude.
the people. So stop chala. So due to that, it leads to increase in growth of population. So next one, lack of education. So according to 2011 census, we can find only 74% of the people are literated in Indian economy, and 74% of population literated in 2011 according to literacy rate. So if the literacy rate in case of women it was less, it was only 65.5% and men 82.1%. So when the education provided to the people, mainly in case of female, the attitudes of the people may be changed. So when education increases, automatically the attitude changes and people are ready to control the family members to give better standards to their family members. So due to lack of education, it leads to increase in population explosion and unable to control the birth rate. And next one, use of contraceptive methods. So the use of contraceptive methods was very less in Indian economy due to unavailability of contraceptive methods. And next, they are not encouraged by some sections of the people due to lack of education or religious and social superstitions. So due to all this, the following of contraceptive methods are very less in Indian economy. Due to that, they are unable to control the birth rates. So if we go to the causes of population explosion in Indian economy, they divided into three categories. First one, causes of declining death rate, and second one, high birth rates, and third one, immigration. So the causes of decline in death rates arises due to elimination of famines, control of epidemics, and other causes. And next, high birth rates we can find due to the economic factors like predominance of agriculture, urbanization, and poverty. And next to social factors, universality of marriage, lower age at the time of marriage. And next to people given priority to religion, social superstitions they follow, and the joint family system, which may exist in Indian economy also one of cause. And next to the lack of education, that means the literacy rate was low in case of mainly women. Next, the use of contraceptive methods are very less in Indian economy. So all this leads to increase in population and leads to population explosion in Indian economy. So these are the causes for population explosion. Hello, sir.
you have dialed it.
మేడం ఏమైంది? షేర్ ద స్క్రీన్.
అయిపోలేదా? నేను స్టాప్ చేశారేమో అనుకుంటున్నాను. సో నెక్స్ట్ 120 అయిపోయింది కదా, క్లోజ్ చేశారేమో అనుకున్నాను. లేదా? హలో,
కంటిన్యూ మేడం.
కంటిన్యూషనా? ఓకే. సో నెక్స్ట్ వన్, రెమెడీస్ ఫర్ పాపులేషన్. ఒక్క నిమిషం, మరి కనపడట్లేదుగా. స్క్రీన్ షేరింగ్ ఆపేసానా నేను మీటింగ్ నుంచి? మేడం